You could spend a whole 23 minutes that I have left just explaining the Reichkeit of this Fabrengen, but it's obvious. L'chaim. So I was invited to Fabrengen Yutas Kislev by a shliach. This is probably almost 20 years ago. And he had a big mesibah of Mekurabim, 300 people at dinner. And at the end, he invited back to his house the closer people. Just the men, the chevre who come to learn, who are often vague, so to speak. And it was sitting around the room, most of them not Lubavitcher looking, but you could see they knew the Nigunim and was sitting and Fabrengen a whole night with the shliach. And at some point, 2, 3 in the morning, I was very inspired just seeing what goes on. So I said to them, I'm done. Now you guys talk. Tell me what brought you to Rebbe, to Yiddishkeit, to Frumkeit. Tell me your story. We went around the whole table. It's one large dining room table. And everybody told their story. A Perek Tanya brought them, a share from the rabbi, I don't know, JLI, the wife's cholent, a smile from the baby. And each one has a story. What triggers their path to Rebbe, to the Eibishter, to Yiddishkeit. And then there was one guy sitting right across the table from me, dressed with the whole Lubavitch garb, like a chassid looks on Yutas Kislev, maybe the only one at the table. And a young man. And I said, look him in the eye, and I say, no, tell me, what's your story? Who brought you? And he says, the Rebbe. So I made a quick calculation that if he looks the age that he is, if he is the age that he looks, he maybe knew the Rebbe when he was 10, 11, 12, maximum. I said, you mean a video? A sikh? He says, no, the Rebbe. I said, what do you mean? So he starts to explain. He says, I was part of a Jewish youth group, very secular Jewish youth group, Zionistic, nothing to do with Frumkeit or Torah mitzvahs at all, somewhere in the Midwest. And the year-end trip was to New York. We were told that we were there in October, that you come to 770, this big shul, Simchas Torah, forget about it. It's the best experience. So we went. Apparently they came the last night. It was Kesha Bracha. We walk in, and he's describing how the room looks to the people around the table who obviously never stood by a Fabrengen. It's Kesha Bracha, the Rebbe is singing, and the people are up, and the benches, he says it was like a Jewish Super Bowl. The Rebbe Machtazeh, everyone's up, down. He says, we felt out of place. They gave us like little white kippahs, here we are in this room full of Hasidic rabbis. He said it took us like 4 seconds to realize that we are VIPs. And then they put us on the benches so we could see. And suddenly our madrich said to us, you want to go see the rabbi, get some wine? And we were like, whoa, of course. Most of the kids, it was an adventure, but to me, it was like, what? This rabbi is going to give me wine just because I showed up? And they put us on the express line. And as I'm getting closer and recognizing, they told us this is the chief rabbi, the whole world maybe. I'm wondering, like, why is he going to take the time to see us just because we showed up? He said, in my temple, I never met the chief rabbi of the temple. I deal with the assistant, or maybe the assistant's assistant. Suddenly, this chief rabbi of the whole world, he needs to meet me. Obviously, this Yid was a very, deep person, serious person. And as the line is moving closer, he's like, he cannot believe what's happening. He doesn't understand. Shtei Yid, the Rebbe, in that age, whatever it is, this is literally Tafshin Nun Beis Vaistais, Tishrei, maybe. And we showed up. And he says, I come close to the Rebbe face to face. And at this point in his narrative, he pulls out of took a picture of the Rebbe looking into the eyes of a 12-year-old boy who's dressed with a little kippah. And the eye contact is beyond. It's a famous picture. It's been printed in Schmutkin's booklet, other places. And he breaks out crying. Apparently, he carries his picture with him 24/6. And he says, the Rebbe looked at me for, a couple of seconds. And it felt like for 5 minutes, even though it was a couple of seconds. And he said, I couldn't help thinking, why is this rabbi taking me so seriously? No one ever did. And he said he walked away and he knew it's going to be different. He's got to figure out who this rabbi is and what he's about. When the Rebbe says to us, we didn't want to hear it, and it's harsh words, etc. But to me, part of it is, I take you so seriously. You're serious, you're real. Every Yid, every Nivra of Amrad is serious, every human being, but every Yid, let alone Chassidim, which the Rebbe called Karmish Allah, his own vineyard. So the Rebbe is saying, I take you seriously, and I trust you, and you can do it. So that is, to me, in a very positive way, the message. Chavches Nissen was very harsh language, very short. Many Chassidim believed that Purim Mem Zayin was really the same theme. So recently I had a chance to watch that Sikha over again, those Sikhas, when it came Purim time. And now it's so many years later. And a few things struck me, which I think are helpful. At least I'm going to share, maybe they're helpful. I'm going to make 4 points that I saw in that Sikha, briefly. First thing is, the Rebbe mentioned in detail that the Inyan of the Altz, L'Gul, Altz, L'Tshuva, the Frierdiker Rebbe spoke about it and printed it up, a Kriya Kedusha, and he even made it clear that when you print something, it's forever. And the Rebbe says, then we know the Frierdiker Rebbe is automatically paskening, so to speak, if that's the language, that he's speaking about something which will have noch mei v'esrim shana, will be after his physical lifetime. So the Rebbe is trying to say the message is alive, even though it's after Yud Shvat, the Kriya Kedusha, the message of L'Alt L'Gul doesn't change. The proof is the Frierdiker Rebbe spoke about it in terms of, he said that anything that I'm printing, I want it to be printed, it should be l'datus. So the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying that it's something that may have to be played out over time, and therefore it's relevant and alive. I'm watching that and I'm saying, what's the Rebbe saying? He's sitting on a video. Not alone, it was printed in Hebrew and Lahak and Yiddish and everything else. And the Rebbe is, to me, I felt the Rebbe is saying it may not play itself out the way the Rebbe had hoped. Apparently, it should play out l'chatchila before Gimel Tammuz. But this is something that the Rebbe wants. It should be imprinted and should be on a video, and we should see it. And we should sit around so many years later and spend hours each year on a regular basis too talking about it. This is l'datus, meaning to say that this is real. And the Rebbe at Altz Bavorin, the Rebbe prepared us, and it's not like, God forbid, the plan got messed up. The plan is playing out. That's the first Nakuda. Another Nakuda is, the Rebbe spoke to Baricha as one of the signs of Mashiach. We see unbelievable good and unbelievable bad. There's a lot of different interpretations. Maybe they're all true. Maybe it's in certain individuals. Tremendous amounts of tzedakah people were giving them. In the Jewish world, I think even beyond the Rebbe was referring to, people give away billions of dollars. But the Rebbe spoke there. We live in a world where we see good sky, which are built in Meshur, never imagined. And the Ktsei HaHafchi, the opposite. How many times have you and I looked around the world now, post Gimel Tammuz, and on one hand we see it's gefährlich. First of all, to our children and grandchildren, the Rebbe is on a video, and all the other things, the challenges, Pashat, unsere eigene Kinder, that should be inspired, ourselves to be inspired, and the world, the morality of the world. I mean, ain't kind of mucker. We don't have to go into details. The morality of the world, things that were ridiculous even last year, are totally normal. And on the other hand, it's extraordinary. Forget about the growth of Chabad. I mean, everybody knows the Pew study. I love talking about it in my community. 38% of Jews, American Jews, had association with Chabad in the last year. In the last Pew study, they didn't even put Chabad on, because what's Chabad? It's not a denomination. Somebody said, hello, Chabad is on the map. I don't know what they are, but you got to put them down. 38% of American Jews had some involvement with Chabad. Friends, in case you don't know, that's more than all denominations combined. We have to say it because it's the truth. Almost like the Rebbe complained, but we didn't say there was Nisim. And also, we look at Kerem Chabad. Look at this, look at the amount of pu'ulis. Look at the shluchim b'chol katz v'tevel. It's out of control. People who never saw the Rebbe going out, pushing Mesiras Nefesh. Look at all the pu'ulis from headquarters that we're doing on such a high level. Look at the bochurim. You're feeling down one day that things aren't going well. Sit the night with bochurim, or sit with chassidishe girls, or youngerliet, and you see that it's not less than it was, and yesh lomar more. So which one is it? They're so inspired, and yet there's so much challenge. So this is obviously what we're seeing. What the Rebbe said in that Sikha, it's a simoni of Geula. I'm not sure exactly what the cheshbon is, but I am suggesting that the Rebbe, I heard from Chaim Gutnick al Sholom. We were in Melbourne in the MEMS. He told us that he had a yechidus, Tafshich of Dald. And he was complaining to the Rebbe about the way that the world is going crazy. This is the 60s. Compared to today, it was normal, but it was pretty bad. So a yid like Chaim Gutnick is a Rav and a chassidishe Rav. And apparently I wasn't in the yechidus, but the feeling was he was complaining to the Rebbe that how are we gonna raise a generation in a straight an hour? How are we gonna makata people in this environment? The world's nuts. Anything goes. We're redefining life, values, everything. And he said to us that the Rebbe told him, the Rebbe basically told him not to be nispal. And the Rebbe told him the nisayon of this day, every day has its nisayon, which is its purpose. The nisayon of this day is b'chira chavshis, total b'chira chavshis. And that's exactly what we have. And therefore, people who are not careful are going to lose their minds. Conversely, by that Bechira Chavshis is the opportunity for people to really choose. And that's why you have, this is already my own Pirush Rashi, you have the two extremes. Talk about Bechira Chavshis in the 60s. Today, a person can choose, a child, a teenager, an adult, anybody, can choose anything they want to do. You know, it used to be a time, if you wanted to sin, you had to know somebody, you had to have connections. Today, the whole world's at your fingertips. L'tev and u'lamutev. So a person can wring their hands and say, this is terrible, this is so scary. So the Rebbe says, this is it. Total Bechira Chavshis. I trust you. You can do it. I take you seriously. And you have free choice. You're not doing it because everyone's going to know. You're sitting in an environment where everybody's doing the same things. Everybody can do their own thing today. But in that moment, that opportunity where we could fall to the lowest, we could also fall to the highest. And we see Baruch Hashem to a great degree, Mahal Tzachon, and Tefeach, Hamanas Latfiach, and more so from day to day. So that's the second point. Third point, the Rebbe was Madgish. Moshe Paltiel. If you listen to the Sikha Purim Am Zayin, again, it's echoed later in Chassidishe, but Purim Zayin, it's much more Purim Dik, much more explained. So the language is, the Rebbe is into the Rambam, Moshe Echad. I mean, this is not a new Rambam. And it's not even a new Sikha. And the Rebbe is screaming like as if he's entdecked America, something new. So again, take it or leave it. But this is my own heritage from watching it. The Rebbe is telling us to be foot soldiers. Just do it. A lot of time we spend time in cheshbonis, especially chassidishe Chabad, and we try to make cheshbon nefesh a whole time on my chassidishe, on my holy. Do I mean him mitanemes? You know the famous Ma'aseh Alter Rebbe. The guy said he doesn't mean mitanemes when he gives tzedakah, and the Alter Rebbe said the poor man means it. Just do it. Just learn daven, learn chassidus, give tzedakah, do mivtzayim. The Rebbe is saying, I'm taking care of the inyanim, the higher level stuff. Your job is to follow me. And the reason why this is so important is because this is something that the Yitzhahara, it's a chassidishe Yitzhahara, and he comes along and gets us down very easily because he says, you're a chassid. Since when did you feel the Rebbe? When did you this? When did you davening with Tanemes? This is a language that chassidim always did in the past. But in my humble opinion and the opinion of Mashpiyim, the Rebbe is telling us today the Aveda is give yourself over and just pull the trigger. And I'm going to share a sikha, which I don't know if it's so well known, but it should be. That in B'Shalach, Shabbos B'Shalach, Tafshin Yud Dalet, after the Rebbe is in Siyas 3 years of since Yud Tafshin Yud Aleph, or 4 years since Tafshin Yud Aleph, count. It was extraordinary Fabrenyan. Obviously, there's no tape, but it is a transcript in the Sikhas. And look at the footnotes, vices the Rebbe said, some L'chaim, had a lot of private conversations. Looks like a very youngerliet, very positive. And the Rebbe sort of, I'm very short on time, but the Rebbe sort of basically accepted the Nesiyas, so to speak, b'simcha. Whereas till then, there were many Sikhas when the Rebbe complained that who am I, etc. In that Fabrenyan, the Rebbe sort of said that there's 3 years of a vineyard that's Shnei Arla. The 4th year is the Neterevoy, and then after that, it's yours. And therefore, since 3-4 years passed, the Rebbe said, sort of in the power vested in me, I'm obviously paraphrasing, by the Balakadim, which is the Siderenu, I want to make a statement. I don't know how people know this. The same way the Rebbe made a statement, Yud Shvat, when he took the Nesiyas, the Rebbe made a statement there. And the Rebbe said 3 things. Number 1 is the Allah, those who need the blessing of children should have it. The Allah was dafin gebenchver, and those who need the blessing for parnasa should have it. And then the Rebbe said the Allah was dafin poteven from the Morish Cheder, those who have to get rid of the melancholy should get rid of the melancholy. I'm reading this sikha, I'm thinking to myself, you're giving a bracha to Anash that should have children. No doubt the bracha was Makuyim. You're giving a bracha to Anash that have parnasa. It's important. Hello, parnasa is important. And then what's the 3rd thing? Not they should be bichsidim, they should be inspired. They should not walk around melancholy. And in my reading of the Sikha, it means including and especially this spiritual melancholy. That, you know, that's a chassidishe thing. And you heard from many chassidim, Aaron Lazet Seitlin tells over, many others that went to Yechidus and they complained about this and that, all these intangible things that they don't feel it and they don't know it. And they don't, Bel Baumgarten, famous Yechidus. And the Rebbe said, take the melancholy and throw it out the window. Amalek Zeiten, higher level chassidim, this was their thing. Today, the Rebbe made a very simple program. I'm the Rebbe. I got you covered. I'm talking to God. Just do it. Just do it. My friend Yaski Greenberg from Alaska, he wrote to the Rebbe in that period of time. And the Rebbe was speaking this language over and over and over. And he wrote to the Rebbe, am I understanding correctly that the Rebbe wants Reklet Shabbos? And what does the Rebbe want? What's the program? Very simple. You should follow. By the way, Folgen not so basic. You have to learn Ambam, you have to learn Sefer HaMitzvahs, and you have to be from to watch what you see and what you listen to and what you read, and you have to do it's a lot. But don't worry about your madregas. So he wrote to the Rebbe, is he understanding correctly? That the Rebbe is saying, Laklet Sabbath, Folgen. And the Rebbe answered him, I've been saying it for all along. So that's the third Nakuda that I'm taking out from that Sikha. And finally, practice. This relates very much to the charity fund that they're trying to make for everybody to open up a charity page and get other people to do mitzvahs and be an influencer. It's a fantastic thing. I understand now they're trying to get it done between now and like Beimit, and then it will be expanded. I mean, this is using technology. It's beyond, it's off the charts what technology can do. We're reaching Kol Katzve Tevel, and here they're harnessing and they're shekayach to the leadership, Rabbi Moshe and his whole team, and they be some Gem and all the good work. So this, but it's right in the Sikha. So here's a hergish that I've had over the years and crystallized, and from that Sikha. In that Sikha, the Rebbe says it, and he's screaming it. That since I was trying to figure out what's going on, why is the Sheikh not coming? Imagine the Rebbe says, after I heard of it, I only could come up with this beer. The cup. And this is the only, what is the only thing? As it's is a shaykhis, the chol echad ve'echad. Sa'in shakol echad ve'echad. Das make men him, das make men her, das make men kol echad ve'echad. Anashim, noshim, v'tav, kol echad, something like that. What's the Lashon? Anashim, v'tav, alle zusammen, kol gadol. There's a little bit of, first of all, again, what's the big deal? Of course, every Jew has to take the mitzvahs. What's the Rebbe saying? There's many interpretations, and you talk to Yidden like Sheis Taub and others. The Rebbe said that every chassidishe shtikol admur, and the Rebbe put a piece of himself. All kind of ruchnis. I'm speaking from a balabatish practice thing. The Rebbe is screaming. Watch the video. It's Tatus. Obviously, it can have dual meanings. The Rebbe is screaming. It's a shaykh. It's a kol lechad. That's make men hidden. That's make men here. Anashim nashim b'tav. Alle zusammen kol lechad. So he just said it's individual. He put it on the individual, and then he said kol lechad. So here's just a balabatish practical thing. When I go and I have opportunity to do a mitzvah with a yid, I go to my dentist. I'm not officially wearing the mitzvah hat. I may not need to be a shliach. I may be a nash or even a shliach. I'm just going to my dentist or my doctor, or I'm meeting somebody on the bus. And how often where I'm lazy to put on the tefillin with the guy. I'm not in the mood of dealing with a stranger. I'm tired. I'll leave the tefillin in the car. The thought has crossed my mind. Don't tell anybody. Let it stay right here. And boss would sign a bit, nicht legen tefillin. You know what I mean? We did it last time, and I'm in a rush, and I'm tired, and I'm not in the mood. But then I say to myself, I've done this numerous times, many times. I say to myself, wait a minute, how many chassidim are now having the same opportunity? How many chassidim are in the opportunity, but make men him, das make men hem, und das make men hier anashim v'nashim, kol alle zusammen, kol echad. If I put on the tefillin, that's 10,000 tefillin. Because if everybody makes the same cheshbon, or 50,000, whatever the numbers, I don't know the numbers of anashos, kain yirbu, same thing with neshek, and for the women, anything else. So therefore, if I have opportunity to do that thing, I grab it because I know it's multiplied. By Teisen to the Rebbe's Hentum Fitzen Soldaten, the Rebbe's Kinderlach, pulling the trigger b'chol katzvi tevel. I'm out of time, but I've seen this in my community, my own, not only myself, my own people, the Yidden in my town, running around. I'll just share one anecdote and I'll close with it. That it was a Shana Rabbe this year. And we're finishing with Lulav and Esrig, and I tell them, the Rebbe told us a very big thing to shake a little bit of Yid, and it's a very easy mitzvah. You go over to him, make a bracha and shake, and he has a mitzvah tater. So I told them, look, the Lulavim are there. If anyone could take it, bring it home, maybe you'll meet somebody. There's a Yid in the shul took it. He didn't even own a Lulav and Esrig. A Pashat the Balshemski Yid. He shows up every morning and show. He didn't even have his own. He doesn't know which way's up. But he heard I said it, so he took it. I'm in the office a half hour later. He said, I'm going down to the diner. I'm going down whatever to where he hangs out with his friend. I didn't even hear what he said. He came in marching into the office 45 minutes later. Rabbi, 13. So this is a thought that it relates directly to the idea of influencers, which is being empowered through this thing. And the Rebbe will help them that we should do our part, but we should do it b'simcha u'b'tuv levav, to know the Rebbe fear and we're seeing it. And the Rebbe will schlep us out, eventually cross the finish line. L'chaim.